Alright, so check this out. I got a friend that was riding with his bike on top of his car, and he ran it into the garage. Luckily for him, the I don't know what kind of rack it was, but anyway, the bike slid back on the rack, and one of the arms holding the bike frame came down and cracked the down tube, and you can see that here. Without removing all the paint, it's hard for me to tell if there's any other micro cracks on any of the tubes or lugs. And I told him that you know, if there is potential damage in these areas, that the frame could be potentially deadly, and he's okay with that. So what he's asked me to do is go ahead and just repair this part here. Now, I'm not a professional carbon fiber frame repairman, so I don't have a lot of the tools that the professionals have, like an endoscope, which you would run down into the tubes and view cracks from the inside. There's also a thermal imaging device that they can use, which ties electrodes to the bike. It runs an electrical current through the carbon fiber, which is conductive, and any crack that there is heats up, and they view that on a thermal imager. So the other alternative is to remove all the paint, and he didn't want to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to repair this section here and see how it goes. The bike still feels pretty solid. It doesn't feel crunchy in any other areas. I checked all over the frame, so pretty sure this is the only damage. So anyway, I'm gonna tape off this part here, and then I'm going to tape off probably down here somewhere. I'm going to try to use acetone to get rid of the paint. If that doesn't work, then I'll have to sand it. But if I can do it without sanding, that's better, because I don't want to ruin any of the carbon fiber that's still good on there. So anyway, I will remove that and come back to it. Alright, here's a good look at this this crack that he got in this down tube on this frame. The acetone didn't work, so I had to sand this off. I just used 100 grit on an orbital sander to get it down. This weave pattern that you can see, that's the first layer. You can see a spot right here. So I can put this down. You can see a spot right here. That's where I wore through the top layer, and you can see the unidirectional carbon fiber. It's just gray like that. Don't mistake that for gray paint if you've got it. So I sanded just a little bit too far. It's not going to be a big deal because that's going to get wrapped. I also exposed enough of this area here where I can make a good solid repair. You want to probably go at least 2 inches from the furthest point of your crack. So on this crack here, it goes to about right here, and then on the top, the crack goes to about right here. Now I realize that there might be a little bit more cracking underneath that I can't see, but I'm going to wrap this clear up into here just in case. So you're going to want to at least go 2 inches, 3. You know, the more you go, the more solid it's going to be. So anyway, keep that in mind. Now I mentioned that there might be a little micro cracking here. When I sanded this off, it looked like it was just a little tiny crack in the paint. I don't see anything on the carbon fiber here. On the other side here, you can see this crack goes down to about here. So now what I need to do is figure out what the thickness of the frame is, and what I mean is the thickness of the tube wall. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a spot and just drill a little hole on one of these cracks so I can see about how much carbon fiber they're using. Alright, I got my hole drilled here, and I just used an 1/8 inch drill bit, and it looks like the tube's wall thickness here is about a 32nd of an inch, or 0.75 millimeters. So I'm going to try to match that, or make it even a little bit thicker, the overlap here that we're going to wrap around this tube. One thing to note on these tubes, they're using high modulus carbon fiber. High modulus carbon fiber is stiffer but weaker than standard modulus carbon fiber. It's also harder to find, and it's more expensive if you're going to use it. I'm doing this repair as a favor, so I'm going to be using some standard modulus carbon fiber, which will be plenty strong for this repair. Just giving you an idea what I'm going to be using. I'm going to be using some unidirectional. This by itself is a 32nd of an inch thick. And so I'm going to be wrapping this so that the major bundles run the direction lengthwise of the down tube, and then I'm going to be using this. This is a 4 harness satin weave, which is also a standard modulus. This is 6K,
I believe it's 11 ounces per yard, and I'm going to be using that to wrap the unidirectional so that you know, kind of a support around the unidirectional to help it from splaying out. So I'm going to be using this and this, and I'm probably going to be putting this on a 45, so it runs 45 this way. I mean, you can kind of see that they've done that here. They're probably using more uni in this tube than bidirectional. You can see the bidirectional on the outside. So couldn't speak for the manufacturer on how they're doing this, but that's what I'm going to do here for the repair. I'm going to use the unidirectional going lengthwise along the tube, and then I'm going to be using the bidirectional to wrap the uni. Before I can do that though, I need to fill in these holes because I'm going to be using a vacuum system. So any hole like this is gonna make it so that the vacuum has a hard time pulling adequately down on the carbon fiber to get it nice and tight, and also wick out some of that excess epoxy so it doesn't weigh too much. So I'm gonna go ahead and fill these in. I will show you what I'm using for that here in just a second. Alright, I don't have a cameraman, so bear with me today. First thing I've got here is a measuring cup. You can use these numbers here on the side. I've done it plenty of times with decent results with the epoxy. I'm going to be using this to mix the epoxy with. Today I'm just going to be using some Resin Research. This is their 2100 system, and I'm using their fast hardener. And so you have about it says 20-minute pot life, but really it's only about 10 minutes if it's warm like it is today. So we're going to have to work pretty fast on this. I'm going to be using a scale here just because I don't want to mix up too much, because the repair part that I'm doing right now is really small. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get most of those cracks sealed. So I'm going to take this frame here. I'm just going to use my glove, and I'm going to try to just kind of move this around and get those in those cracks there. Just kind of move it around, squish this a little bit. Hopefully what this will do is get the cracks that are kind of apart kind of joined back together just a little bit, or at least you know, sealed a little bit, so it makes it a little bit stronger when we put the other layers on. You get other people that say this makes no difference at all. It may not. So now I'm just taking a rag and wiping that off. This is just the excess epoxy that I got on there. This will get another sand here in a minute. So now what I'm going to do is just take this graphite powder and I mix it in there with that epoxy. Okay, so that's about right. You can see there it's pretty stiff. That's what I want. Now I'm just going to use this to fill in those holes and the cracks and stuff. Hopefully you can see this okay. Smother that on there real good. Get in that hole. Move it in and out of those cracks. Okay, that's it. You know, I made it a little thicker. I'm going to sand most of that off now. I'm just going to set this out in the sun. It'll probably be ready to sand in probably an hour, maybe 2. So I will go ahead and sand it. I don't think you need to watch me sand it. So I'll let this set up, sand it down, and then I'll update you. All right, so I let the epoxy and graphite powder mix set up. Took about an hour and a half, 2 hours. You know, so my mom got some lunch. And now I'm back. I went ahead and sanded it down. It didn't take very long to sand, but you can see here where the graphite powder filled in. See if you can see that better there. Oh, there you go. You can see it there on the top, on the side there. So all that's really doing, like I said earlier, is that's helping to keep the air from circulating from the inside of the tube up into my vacuum bag. And so just be careful not to squeeze on that or think that this is structurally strong after adding that glue in there, because it's not. We have to add the carbon fiber. So what I'm going to do to get the carbon fiber ready is I'm going to be using a pre-preg. A pre-preg that I make myself. I'm going to use this piece of paper and I'm going to drop a template. Basically I'm going to wrap this tube, and you know, I got to account for the hole here, and I'm going to wrap it and then cut it out in the shape that I need the carbon fiber to be cut out in. So I will go ahead and do that real quick, and then I will show you.